At the wedding, as the MC announced the exchange of rings, my mother, who was supposed to be seated among the guests, suddenly rushed forward, her eyes red as she yanked my hair to the ground. "You cripple. Do you really think he'd fancy you?" The word, cripple, made my heart instantly tighten, and I tugged at my mother's clothes in panic. Instead, Victor calmly comforted my mother. He asked my mother to leave first, saying we could discuss everything after the wedding. My mother still wouldn't relent, grabbing my hand to take me away. "Aurora, listen to your mother. He's only marrying you to make fun of you." Beside me, Victor snickered, covering his mouth, as if mocking my mother's words. I pursed my lips and moved closer to Victor. "I know you don't like Victor, but we truly love each other." My mother looked at me with a complicated gaze, as if struggling, or perhaps filled with regret. Finally, she snatched the microphone from the host's hand and tapped it. "I am the mother of the bride Aurora, and I suppose you all don't know yet that the groom is marrying a cripple." As soon as the words were spoken, the guests below the stage erupted in an uproar. My face turned pale as I twisted my fingers, wanting to step forward and stop my mother from continuing. I never expected her to walk straight up to me and lift my skirt, exposing my deformed right leg to everyone's gaze. "Tell me, would a normal man ever marry a woman like this?" Trembling, I pushed my mother away with all my strength. "Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Are you out of your mind? Today is my wedding day. Do you want to ruin me?" With tears in her eyes, my mother wiped away the tears from my face, then continued speaking. "Today's wedding is not valid. I'm sorry, everyone." My mother bowed deeply to the audience below. I looked at Victor beside me, wanting to explain. To my surprise, he turned his head away, with an indifferent expression. He took a step back, the spotlight shining on the carefully chosen wedding dress I was wearing. It looked particularly glaring. My mother stepped forward to help me off the stage, but I pushed her away. I grabbed my hair and screamed at her in despair. "You're truly insane. You've ruined everything for me. It's all your fault. It's all because of you." Just as I was hysterical, a woman's voice from the audience broke the situation. "Aurora, there's something you forgot to mention." I suddenly raised my head and glared at the smug Caroline in the audience, my eyes fiercely warning her. "Did you accidentally reveal that your mother is mentally ill? You wouldn't want the groom to become a fool, would you? Taking care of you, a disabled mother and son pair." After saying this, she covered her mouth and giggled softly, while the group at her table stood behind her, laughing along. It felt like going back to the time when I was isolated. On the eve of the wedding, I specifically sent invitations to their group, just to finally hold my head high. But all of this was ruined by my mother. A surge of overwhelming hatred rose in my heart, just as my mother calmly patted her clothes, looking down at me from above. "They were right. Perhaps this wedding was just a game to mock you all along. Shouldn't you have placed your hopes on a man?" My mother's icy words instantly froze my blood, leaving a metallic taste of blood in my throat. This is the mother I've respected since childhood. Now she's helping outsiders attack her own daughter. I collapsed to the ground, laughing in despair. But I didn't see Victor's guilty expression after my mother finished speaking. I don't remember how this farce ended, only hearing my mother's anxious cries by my ear. When I woke up, everything around me was in familiar arrangements. There was still a damp, musty smell. My mother pushed open the door and brought a bowl of hot soup to my lips, her expression returning to its usual look of concern. "Aurora, don't blame me. I'm doing this for your own good. That Victor is no good." I gave her a cold glance and flipped the bowl over with a wave of my hand. The scalding soup splashed onto my wrist, and with bloodshot eyes, I grabbed my mother's hand. "Why did you have to ruin my wedding on this day? I was so close to escaping this pitch-black basement, to never having to endure the damp, moldy stench again." I choked up as I looked around, then covered my face and burst into tears. My mother kept stroking my hair. She told me that sometimes living is more important than anything else. I turned my back, not wanting to pay her any attention. Get out. I don't want to see you. I muffled my voice into the pillow, just as I took out my phone to call Victor and explain. I saw the constantly popping up trending topics on my phone. Hashtag disabled mother and son attempt to morally blackmail the groom. Truly heinous hashtag. I felt inexplicably panicked and clicked in, only to find it was a video from the wedding scene, recorded from the moment my mother rushed onto the stage. I dug my fingers deeply into my palms, only snapping back to reality when my nails broke. I looked at the comments below and was shocked to see someone had posted pictures of me being bullied in high school, along with some unspeakably vulgar photos. Photos from my college days were also dug up. In an instant, I became the bad girl who bullied weaker classmates by exploiting my disability and had a chaotic personal life. Ding dong. Aurora. The game officially begins. Yes, it's Caroline. My hand holding the phone wouldn't stop trembling. I hugged myself and kept screaming, throwing things around the room. When my mom came running at the sound, tears instantly fell as I looked up. Mom, do you really love me? Everything has returned to square one. All my painstaking efforts have been destroyed in an instant. My mother looked at the trending topics on my screen and held me in her arms, choking back tears. She said that living is more important than anything else. I don't know when I fell asleep, but I was woken up by the sound of car horns outside. As soon as I pushed the door open, I saw my mom packing her luggage. Before I could even speak, my mom urged me to get my things ready. We're going back to the countryside to stay for a while. Once the trouble passes, we'll move to another city to live. My lifted foot froze in place. I looked at my mom in disbelief. Go back to the countryside, so Grandma can marry me off to that damn old man. Right. My voice involuntarily rose. Back then, it was my grandma who wanted to sell me to an old man in the village for money. My mom resolutely brought me to the county town and made me study hard. Now it's me who wants to go back. Perhaps my words were too harsh. My mom's eyes turned slightly red at the corners. That old man died long ago. Going back is just to lay low for a while. My mom forcefully stuffed the luggage and looked straight at me. You're absolutely crazy. I turned my head away, grabbed my pants, and limped out the door. I glanced back at my mother who was chasing after me. I shouted, I'm going to find Victor and explain everything. Don't even think about stopping me from being with Victor. On the other end of the phone, Victor remained persistently switched off, braving the rain. I took a taxi to Victor's apartment. Come on up. I suddenly looked at the message sent by Caroline and raised my head, but my gaze collided with hers as she stood by the window. Victor once said that having a huge floor-to-ceiling window in the apartment was very comfortable. He leaned over, wrapped his arms around my waist, and pointed outside the window. This way. I can see you the moment you arrive. My heart ached suddenly, and without caring about the heavy rain, I rushed into the elevator in a hurry. With a ding, I hesitated. I'm afraid Caroline will play tricks on me like she did back then. Afraid of making a fool of myself in front of Victor. Before I could even reach for the doorknob, the door opened. Before my eyes were two intertwined figures, locked in an inseparable kiss. Caroline raised an eyebrow as she looked at me. My arms around Victor's waist tightened as I sensed something was amiss. Victor stopped his movements and turned to look at me, standing drenched at the entrance. Don't you think you owe me an explanation? At this moment, I was still holding on to hope. If only he would say Caroline seduced him, I would have forgiven him immediately. But he didn't. He merely glanced at me indifferently, then planted an exceedingly tender kiss on Caroline's cheek, turned and walked away. Victor, what do you take me for? I'm your fiancé, and here you are fooling around with another woman. Ah, covering my face, I looked at Caroline, who was shaking her hand. Suddenly, the words my mother said that day came to mind. Perhaps this was all just a farce. Aurora, can't you see? That wedding was just the beginning of the game. Don't think getting into a good university means you've started a new life. She poked my chest, pressing closer with each step. Trash like you deserves to rot forever in that filthy, stinking basement of yours. With bloodshot eyes, I rushed to the front page to grab her by the hair. Soon we were tangled in a fight, but my legs were at a disadvantage. I was quickly pushed to the ground by the arriving Caroline, who rolled up my pant leg and slammed the table corner down hard. I bit my lip to keep from making a sound, just like in high school, when she stripped me naked and made me stand in front of the camera. No reaction at all. Perhaps dissatisfied, Caroline walked back into the kitchen and began heating an iron rod of unknown origin over the fire. I looked pleadingly at Victor. He coldly retreated to a corner and lit a cigarette. To get close to Victor, you'd stoop to any despicable means. You wretched woman. Too bad. He's my childhood sweetheart. I had no idea you'd changed so much during these 4 years I was abroad. Caroline's words were like a giant hand, tearing away the fig leaf that had been covering me. I sneered at him, yet he still took the bait and fell for a crippled woman like me. For these 4 years, you've been nothing. I glanced around. Even this apartment was bought to accommodate my disability. As soon as the words left my mouth, Caroline swung a red-hot iron rod and brought it down hard on my deformed calf. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead as my arms struggled to resist. But Victor pinned me down mercilessly. Just as despair was about to consume me, the door burst open. Victor was knocked unconscious, and I turned my head to see a woman standing at the door, drenched from head to toe. It was my mother, with tears streaming down her face. My mother pulled me into a tight embrace, then told me she had already called the police. Caroline, her hand trembled, and the iron rod rolled to my feet. Instinctively, I reached to pick it up, but my mother firmly pulled me away. Aurora, if you dare tell the police about today, I'll make your life a living hell, Caroline said through gritted teeth. My mother spoke first. Don't worry, we won't. My pupils trembled as I pulled away from my mother's embrace. My legs were almost crippled. And now you're helping these demons. I thought my mom was here to save me. But unexpectedly, she took the side of Caroline, the abuser. My mom frowned and told me to be quiet, then forced me to leave with an apologetic smile. I shook off her hand and ran to Victor's side. Why should we leave? If anyone's leaving, it should be her. This is mine and Victor's home. Caroline didn't expect me to be so stubborn and raised her hand to hit me. My mother stopped her. We may be insignificant, but what you're doing is clearly against the law. If you don't want to go to jail, don't push things too far. Caroline was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. After a while, she wiped the tears from the corner of her eye and pulled out a video to show my mother. Then let's see who falls into hell first. At this moment Victor woke up and disgustedly slapped away my hand that was holding his arm, slowly standing up to Caroline's side. I've got something even more explosive here. As I spoke, my peripheral vision caught the video they were playing. One segment showed me being bullied in high school, Caroline forcing me to take off my clothes. I stood numb in front of the camera, my eyes lifeless. There was another segment. A video from my college days when I limped to confess to Victor and was then cornered and beaten in the restroom. A decade-long bullying had made me even more sensitive and insecure. My mother went frantic trying to snatch the video from their hands, but Caroline shoved her to the ground. Your daughter is nothing but trash. How dare a cripple covet my man? I quickly shielded my mother. You'll pay for this. At that moment, my mother started breathing heavily, her eyes bloodshot as she lunged to grab the video. Caroline dodged, and my mother grabbed her hair, screaming hoarsely. My heart skipped a beat. My mother was having an attack. Seeing my expression, Caroline winced in pain as she turned on her phone's video recording. She began to wail, while Victor held back to the side. If this goes on, my mother will die. Victor, do you even have a heart? A few minutes later, Caroline called an ambulance, tidied her hair, and left arm in arm with Victor. Before leaving, Caroline took a photo of my face with her phone and said ominously, Aurora, the game isn't over yet. She curled her lips into a smile, and I instantly felt as if all my strength had been drained. Collapsing to the ground, watching my mother lying pale on the hospital bed, I buried my head in my knees and cried silently. Why? The happiness I finally obtained is now being revealed as nothing but a farce. A Caroline farce designed to take revenge on me. At that moment, a pair of warm hands rested on my head. With reddened eyes, I looked up at my mother. My throat tightened with a sour ache, just as I was about to open up to her about my grievances. Slap! My mother, trembling, raised her hand and slapped me across the face. Breathing heavily, she lowered her hand and glared at me with fierce intensity. Come back to the countryside with me. It's an order. If you don't agree, I'll die right now. I covered my face as tears streamed down. Then I got up and ran out, dragging my stinging legs. My mom wasn't like this before. Even though she had mental illness, she still gently taught me, love me, care for me. When I brought Victor home, she only tactfully told me that he and I weren't a good match. Until the eve of my wedding, she suddenly came to me in a flustered state. She asked me to return to the countryside with her, saying Victor didn't love me. She said it was all a conspiracy, but I just think she couldn't bear to let me go. Yet, this is how she treated me at the wedding. Just as I was lost in thought, the doctor came to tell me that my mother's condition was worsening. He advised me to spend more time with her and avoid causing her any more distress. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the ward door and saw my mother leisurely peeling an apple. As soon as she noticed me entering, my mother immediately raised a smile. Speaking softly, she said, Aurora, come with Mom. Some things just can't be fought for. Suddenly, a piece of entertainment news appeared on the TV in the hospital room. It was the video of my mother having an episode at Victor's house that day. The patient in the next bed kept glancing our way from time to time, then picked up their phone and started filming us. My eyes turned cold as I stood up and pulled the curtain shut. Go ahead and take the picture. We'll see each other at the police station later. The woman pursed her lips, looked me up and down, and finally fixed her gaze on my legs. A cripple and a lunatic. What a pair. I was about to argue when my mother pulled me back. Come back to the countryside with me. Lay low for a while. Aurora, we can't fight them. I know. Caroline is a wealthy heiress and a famous influencer. And Victor's family was relatively well off. Only me, a rat living in an underground rental room, despised by everyone. Under my mother's pleading gaze, I finally nodded. On the day we returned to the countryside, Caroline had parked a luxury car in front of my house. Seeing me carrying bags of all sizes, she handed me an invitation, mine and Victor's wedding. After saying this, she put on her sunglasses and glanced at my calves. I forgot. You're a cripple. Who knows how long it'll take for you to get there? I was about to retort when my mother stepped in front of me, bending at the waist. She Caroline with an apologetic smile. Miss Lynn, our Aurora doesn't know any better. Please don't take it to heart. Caroline left happily upon seeing this, and I looked at my mother with dissatisfaction. Aurora, I just want you to live a healthy life, safe and sound. That's enough, my mother murmured. In the car, I turned my head away deliberately, refusing to say a word to my mom. She, on the other hand, acted as if nothing was wrong, continuously lecturing me about learning to recognize myself. She snatched the invitation I was fidgeting with from my hands, tore it to pieces, and threw it into the trash can. Mom, do you realize what you've destroyed isn't just my wedding, and my dignity? I scoffed and looked at her stunned face, then mocked. Even if this is just a game, as long as it makes Caroline unhappy, I win. My mother frowned and wanted to persuade me, but I sharply interrupted her. You have no idea what I've been through all these years. Those 2 videos from that day were just the tip of the iceberg. You always said you loved me the most. Yet it's you who hurt me over and over again, turning me into this miserable state. People in the train carriage all turned to look at me. My mother's eyes were slightly red at the corners. I know everything, she said. my mother whispered while wiping away her tears. I leaned back. What the hell did she know? As soon as I reached the village gate, someone loudly announced that the cripple from the Kong family had returned, and the crazy wife too. Standing there, I felt as if I'd been transported back to my childhood, when the kids used to mock me. Sometimes life is just so ridiculous. I thought I had escaped the fire pit. Little did I know, what awaited me was an abyss. My mother was walking home with big and small bags when, before she could even enter the door, my grandmother raised her cane and gave me a hard whack on the back. My mother shielded me, glaring at my grandmother with displeasure. Mom, we're just coming back for a short stay. Aurora's father's death anniversary is coming up. My grandmother frowned at my mother, then scoffed. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You got into trouble outside, didn't you? You never came back on the anniversary in previous years. My mother froze for a moment, then pulled a few red bills from her bag and stuffed them into my grandmother's hand. My grandmother just waved her hand dismissively. Seeing this, my mother quickly took me inside. Watching her busy figure, I couldn't help but speak up. Mom, I'm going back tomorrow. The internet is so advanced now. Hiding for a while won't make this blow over. The word, going back, seemed to be a trigger. My mother glared at me with a dark expression. Her voice turned sharp. Then you can stay in this countryside for 10 years. Even 20. No one will bother you like this. I looked at my mom in disbelief. When had she become so unreasonable? The conversation ended in a final argument. And when bedtime came, I stubbornly refused to get into bed. Sitting by the bed, I reminisced about every little moment Victor and I had shared together. To be honest, I don't love Victor that much. I just want to be the woman standing beside the man who commands everyone's attention. That way, no one would dare to bully me. In my mom's eyes, I'm just blinded by love. But she has no idea what kind of nightmares I've been through since middle school. Caroline chased me from middle school to high school, all for her own twisted amusement. In college, I finally found someone who could protect me. Victor. Through my careful planning, he began to develop a protective instinct toward me, even though I knew he and Caroline were childhood sweethearts. Even so, I had to take my chances. I saw the trending topic on my phone still at the top. No need to guess. I knew Caroline had paid for it. She went to great lengths to make my life a living hell. After sitting by the window all night, I decided I still had to go back, using Victor's last shred of kindness towards me to defeat Caroline. But I thought too simply. The next morning, as I was preparing to pack my luggage, the door was locked from the outside. My grandmother's voice came from outside. Someone will be coming soon to meet Aurora. Don't you two cause any trouble. I sneered. It's the same old story. When I was 10, my grandmother tried to sell me to an old man at the end of the village. Over a decade has passed, and it's still the same routine. My mother took my hand and told me not to be afraid. I know you're unwilling and want to go back to turn things around. But Aurora, Mom just wants you to live. Those people are devils. If you go back now, they'll skin you alive. I sneered at my mother. You've always told me to endure since I was little, but you never knew what I've really been through. I screamed at her hysterically. My mother's eyes instantly reddened, and large teardrops fell onto the back of my hand. They were scaldingly hot. In the end, the person my grandmother brought was forcibly driven out by my mother, who was terrified that my mom might have an episode and die in the house. With the money in hand, they didn't dare to cause any more trouble. But between my mother and me, a thick barrier had formed. Neither of us would speak to the other. That day, my mother went alone to offer incense for my father. You don't need to go. Your father wasn't much of a good person anyway. All I knew was that they were closely related by blood, which led to my congenital disability. Anyway, I didn't have much affection for him, so I coldly agreed. While tidying up clothes inside the house, I accidentally dropped a notebook that looked like craft paper. I held it in my hand, my fingers unconsciously flipping it open. It was my mother's. just as I was still wondering how my mother could have the habit of keeping notes. Rebirth. Two large words that made my pupils constrict. On May 8, 2023, I truly was reborn. And I was reborn on the eve of Aurora's wedding. I found her to tell her that Victor was a bad person and that he was marrying her only because of Caroline's prank game. When I found Aurora, she didn't believe me, and instead, it led to an argument between us, mother and daughter. On May 10, 2023, I thought of many ways to prevent this tragedy, but it only made Aurora even more unwilling to talk to me. With no other choice, I had to take a desperate risk and forcibly take her away during the wedding. I finally brought Aurora home. She won't die tragically at home like she did in my past life. Reading this, my breathing became rapid. Thinking of my mom's recent strange behavior, I quickly flipped through the pages. Aurora ran away again. When I found her, her calf was being burned by a red-hot iron rod. I instantly felt like I was going crazy. In my past life, I failed to protect her properly. In this life, even if it means making her live cautiously, I will protect her. So that day, my mom was trying to save me. But how did I die in my past life? I kept flipping through the pages, not daring to miss a single word. Aurora's bullying incident made it to the so-called trending list. I don't know how to handle this situation, so I had no choice but to take her back to the countryside. But Aurora refused. She blames me for always teaching her to endure. But I simply can't compete with Caroline. In my past life, I had to watch helplessly as the culprit walked free, unable to do anything about it. I'm such a failure as a mother. The ink was still wet as she finished writing these words. It smeared across the entire page. When I flipped through the notebook, I found that all the following pages had been torn into tiny fragments. I instantly felt as if all my strength had been drained, collapsing to the ground. So my mother had been protecting me all along. Her previous unusual behavior was just to ensure my survival. Thinking of Victor's odd behavior and Caroline's determined smile, a shiver ran through my entire body. If it was all premeditated, then the time I met Victor in college, could it possibly be Caroline's doing? The more I think about it, the more terrified I feel. If that's really the case, then how exactly did I die in my past life? Was I stripped naked and gang-raped to death, beaten to death, or forced into euthanasia? My eyes bloodshot. I kept rubbing my hair incessantly. I bit my thumb hard, the pain bringing me a moment of clarity. At that moment, the door creaked open, and I looked up to see my mother, tears welling up in my eyes. "Mom." My mother froze when she saw the diary in my hand. Then, her eyes reddening, she choked back a sob and stepped forward to pull me into her embrace. "Good Aurora, don't be afraid. Mommy's here. Mommy's here." My mother held my hand, wiping her tears as she cupped my face. "Aurora, do you trust Mommy?" I glanced at the diary beside her and nodded. From my mother's words, I learned that in my past life, my wedding with Victor went very smoothly, and I successfully took my mother away from that dark, damp basement. I thought life would gradually improve, but one day my mother suddenly couldn't reach me anymore. By the time my mother found me, my corpse had already begun to rot in the room. When my mom found Victor and confronted him, she saw Victor and Caroline together. To bring the murderer to justice, my mom tried every possible means. In the end, she was Caroline's victim in a staged car accident. Holding my mom's hand, my eyes couldn't help but well up with tears. So I remain that clown, the one Caroline plays like a puppet in her hands. I actively hugged my mother's waist and burst into loud sobs. That night, I soaked my mother's collar with tears, and we exchanged a knowing smile. In the end, we reconciled. My mom said she only found out about me being bullied during the investigation. She deeply regrets it. So in this lifetime, she just wants me to live well. I patted the back of my mom's hand and gave her a reassuring look. I've grown up now, and they should face the consequences. My mother worriedly held my hand, telling me not to act recklessly. You can't fight them. They have power, and we're just ants to them. crushed to death without anyone noticing. My mother said, her voice nearly despairing. I calmly met her gaze. Think about how Caroline treated me. The internet is now flooded with rumors about me. She gained a lot of attention because of it. What if I follow her example? My mother froze for a moment, her hand gripping my forearm tightly. I won't let you go. I lifted my deformed calf, scarred by Caroline's burns, my throat tightening with emotion. Mom, bad people deserve to go to hell. I've endured it for almost 10 years. Even if it ends badly, I'm still going. My mother froze for a moment, then covered her face and cried silently. Early the next morning, as I was about to say goodbye to my mom, I saw her smiling at me with her luggage in hand. It's time for a mother to protect her daughter in battle too. Tears in my eyes, I laughed and nodded fiercely. Seeing the online public opinion still leaning towards Caroline, I began reaching out to my former high school classmates, hoping someone would testify for me. I offered all my savings as a reward, but no one was willing to pay me any attention. Until I saw Caroline's birthday celebration announcement. This was Victor's special arrangement for her, said to be her first birthday after their wedding. Remembering how Victor had once said the same words to me, I felt sick to my stomach. My mom and I returned to that basement again. Yet this time, I felt unusually at ease. Caroline is a currently popular female streamer. It was only natural for her to live stream her birthday party. The moment she went live, I adjusted the camera lens. Take a deep breath and click to start. The title of my live stream is #exposing Caroline as a bully #. Riding on Caroline's popularity, the number of viewers in my live stream skyrocketed instantly. My mom tightly held my hand beside me. Her eyes comforted me. Mom is here. I smiled and nodded, then slowly stood up amidst the cheers in the live stream. I was born with a disability, but my personality wasn't likable. In middle school, Caroline targeted me. She bullied me all the way through high school, trying every despicable and underhanded trick on me. But no one listened to my side, because she always played the victim in front of teachers and parents. As I continued to recount the past, the skepticism in the live stream grew louder. You must be an anti-fan. Our Caroline is the kindest woman. No, she's the woman from Caroline's video. The bitch who stole Caroline's fiancé. I was wondering where this person suddenly came from. Turns out they're just trying to ride the wave of popularity. You all forgot. Today is Caroline's birthday. The banquet is so grand, all arranged by her husband. This woman is just jealous. My body trembled as I looked at the barrage of malicious comments scrolling across the screen. My mother stood beside me, biting her lower lip hard as she watched me with concern. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and expose my deformed, scalded calf to the camera. This is what Caroline did. I begin to remove my top, leaving only a tank top. I turn my back, revealing the densely packed scars, suppressing my sobs. That's from when she scalded herself with boiling water in high school. And there are also cuts from a fruit knife. My mother covered her mouth beside me, her pupils dilated as she looked at me, silently beginning to cry. I know you don't believe it, but it's okay. After all, the truth can't be hidden forever. Caroline, the game is over. It's time for you to face the punishment you deserve. After saying that, I turned off the live stream and collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath. My mom rushed over and hugged me tightly. You did it, Aurora. You did it. In the past, I never dared to face my true feelings. Even when beaten black and blue, I didn't dare make a sound, afraid of being humiliated. I fear others looking at me with sympathetic and pessimistic eyes. But now, all I want is revenge. To send Caroline to hell. Things have progressed much better than I expected. Soon, all those who were bullied by Caroline started to speak out. In this internet age, people's words are the most terrifying thing. To my surprise, Caroline didn't come forward to clarify. Instead, Victor posted a video. In the video, he sat haggardly in front of the camera, recounting how I had deceived him into marrying me step by step. And then how I verbally abused Caroline. Finally, how I emotionally blackmailed him. When my mom saw it, she stomped her feet in anger, pointing at Victor on the screen. She cursed him for being shameless. Netizens quickly turned against me, saying I was just jealous of Caroline and that's why I acted this way. They even claimed my injuries were fabricated. The comment that stung the most read, "A cripple expecting a prince to fall for her. The princess was just reclaiming what was rightfully hers. What's wrong with using a little strategy?" That day, the likes on that comment skyrocketed instantly. I knew it was Caroline's doing without even looking, because only she could hit my self-esteem so precisely. At that moment, an unfamiliar call came through. "Aurora, if you don't back off now, your mother's mental illness won't be as resilient as you are." I coldly tapped to start recording the call. "Is that so? Then let's see who goes to hell first." Caroline, seeing that I wasn't intimidated, her voice turned shrill. "Just wait. Neither you nor your mother will live peacefully." I hung up the phone, looked at my mom, and smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I'll protect myself. And you too." I found Caroline's parents. According to someone who had been bullied by Caroline before, her parents were unaware of Caroline's true nature, and they were a very reasonable couple. So I took the recording, along with my injury assessment, and hired an expensive journalist to find Caroline's parents' home. I just didn't expect it would be Caroline herself who opened the door. The moment she saw me, a vicious look instantly flashed in her eyes. But noticing the reporter standing behind me, she pretended to be generous and asked what I was here for. I pushed past her with disdain and walked straight into her living room. Standing right,
"Your dear mother made some sacrifices to prevent your dirty videos from being leaked." I stood frozen in place, my entire body turning cold. Caroline, after giving the address, I immediately called the police. When I found my mother, she was lying in a pool of blood. I immediately knelt before her, helplessly crying for help, but there was no one. My mother clutched my hand tightly, blood continuously spilling from her mouth. "Aurora, this time, Mom finally protected you." After saying that, my mother passed out. I screamed in despair, and by the time the ambulance arrived, the police had taken me back to the station. After I explained everything, I saw Caroline's parents. "Child, please, let Caroline go. She's only in her 20s. Her life has just begun. She can't go to jail." The woman grabbed my hand and cried out in despair. I looked at her coldly. "What about me? What about my life?" I shook off her hand and walked away, numb, seeing my mother lying in the intensive care unit. My heart ached as I pounded on the glass, thinking of the last words my mother said. My heart felt heavy and blocked. The final investigation revealed that Caroline collaborated with Victor to threaten my mother, luring her to a deserted place. They played the video of me being bullied over and over again in front of my mother. My mother was triggered and began to have an episode. Victor feared the situation would worsen, so he pushed my mother to the ground. Unfortunately, there was a sharp stone on the ground. The back of her head hit it, and she passed out. Hearing this, I clenched my fists, wishing I could rush over and beat those two scumbags to death. Caroline seemed to sense something as she turned her head to look at me. "Do you know why I hate you so much? Aurora, ever since middle school, you've overshadowed me in every way. Even my proud parents couldn't stop praising you whenever they heard about the inspirational genius with a limp at school. How dare you? The one who should be in the spotlight is me, not a cripple like you." Caroline hysterically screamed in court. I coldly glanced at her and stood up. "Trash like you deserves to rot in hell." After saying that, I turned and left, while behind me, Caroline continued to scream hysterically. In the end, Caroline and Victor finally went to hell, and my life began to brighten up. I started to love smiling and talking, but my mother couldn't see any of this anymore. After she woke up, her condition worsened even more. The doctor said it was caused by trauma. She didn't even remember that I was her daughter, spending the whole day sitting dazedly on the recliner, basking in the sun. Every day, I take care of her just as she once took care of me. Soon, my work got on track. Moving to a new city with my mother, I make sure to place fresh sunflowers in our home every day. I looked at my mother sitting in the recliner and smiled faintly. The tender sprout in the crack finally welcomed new life. Extra. Mother's account. When I saw my daughter Aurora lying lifeless on the floor, my heart ached uncontrollably. I found her husband Victor wanting to know the truth, but I accidentally witnessed her being intimate with another woman. Without a word, I rushed up and slapped Victor twice, only to be pushed to the ground by the woman. Your daughter is dead. Instead of burying her. What are you doing here? I froze, my instincts telling me something was wrong. With a sharp glare, I grabbed the woman by the collar, demanding the truth from her. But Victor yanked me to the ground. He punched me hard several times, saying, Aurora, she killed herself. Don't bother me again. After they left, I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. I found the police and wanted them to help me uncover the truth. But the result was the same as what Victor had said. Suicide. I stared at the appraisal report, roaring as I tore it to shreds. I cursed them for colluding in villainy. So I began investigating the matter myself. Never did I expect to uncover Aurora's past suffering from torture. Only then did I realize my daughter had been enduring torment from that woman, Caroline, all along. From middle school to high school, even college. Even her wedding with Victor was just Caroline's game. I curled up on the ground in despair, crying. I wanted to expose these things to the public, but I didn't know how to use the internet. I approached the media, but they turned me away. Everyone thought I was talking nonsense. Some even believed I was using my deceased daughter for marketing. Half a year after Aurora's death, Victor and Caroline got married. I rushed into the wedding venue with a small knife, disregarding all attempts to stop me. But before my blade could touch Caroline, I was subdued. On the way to the police station, a truck lost control and crashed into us. In an instant, sparks flew and flames erupted. As the fire burned around me, I slowly closed my eyes. Aurora, in the next life, Mom will definitely protect you, no matter what it takes.